Welcome, one and all, to another Pacific 414 episode review. I'm your host, Mike, and in this afternoon's episode, I'm going to be giving you my spoiler review of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Power Broker. And to be honest with you, I think this is going to be the last episode review for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier because this series it's just not grabbing my attention. It's not, you know, keeping me interested in what's going on. And it has nothing to do with, the actors who are in it. It's you know what it is? It's the fact that I think I just need a break from the MCU. And in this episode, we had characters like Baron Zemo, and we had Dr. Nagel, and we had a reference to Black Panther, King Wachaka, and we also had one of his guards show up near the end of the episode. And we also had an appearance by Peggy Carter's granddaughter, and it was more, odd couple, more, you know, old married couple bickering between Bucky and Sam. We still had Sam and his sister, discussing about getting rid of the family boat because the bank denied them the loan. And all in all, really, you know, that's just something I need to come out and say that the constant bickering between Bucky and Sam, it has just gotten old. It was fine in Captain America Civil War. I get it. But, for it to continue on in this series, it's just gotten old very quickly. And as far as this episode was concerned, it saw Sam and Bucky go to Germany, break out Baron Zemo, and then they ended up going to this another area where they're looking for somebody who was once with Hydra and actually knows quite a bit about the super soldier serum that was created in Captain America the First Avenger, which helped create both, Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes as who they eventually became, and also Isaiah, as we met in last week's episode. And, it saw a reunion with Peggy Carter's granddaughter, and, you know, she was pretty much, the muscle, while Bucky and Sam went to find this Dr. Nagel who basically was recreating the super soldier serum in a lab after he had been working for Hydra, and then he was recruited to work for the government, and he was one of the victims of Thanos' snap. And when he came back, the program that he was originally working on was no longer happening. So he came to this area where Peggy Carter's granddaughter is, and is hiding out there, and has a makeshift lab inside shipping containers, and has been working on this super soldier serum there because he's in league with the Flag Smashers, with Carly Morgenthau, and of course there's this global reinitiative program that's been started with you know the public, and trying to reintegrate those who disappeared during the step back into a normal way of life. And of course, Carly and the Flag Smashers blow up one of their buildings with people still inside, and you know again, even with that going on, I have zero interest in this series. I, I've just got to say, and I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it one more time. I think I, I personally just feel for me, I need a break from the MCU, and I don't know how long of a break I'm going to need, but I just need a break from the MCU. I think, you know, as far as the breaking point, I wouldn't necessarily call it the breaking point, but I think, with Endgame being the official end to phase 3 of the MCU, and having gone through the MCU for the last, geez, the last 13 years. Yeah, I think it's worth a break, you know, from the MCU in general. Not to say I'm not going to find something else to do a review for on Pacific 4 and 4 episode review, but with the way this episode was, and this episode to me, it just seemed slow and plotting. It just seemed to drag, and even the action parts, yeah, sure, they would have been exciting, 3, 4 years ago, but again, when it gets to a point where you recognize the fact that you need to take a break from, you know, this genre for a while, then, you've got to recognize it when it's there. And that's what I'm doing, I am going to admit that, I will eventually continue to watch the episodes, up until the miniseries finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I will probably come back with a recorded, you know, overview, breakdown, whatever it turns out to be of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But for right now, don't expect to get any more weekly episode reviews after this one, because I think for my own sanity, I need to take a break from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And, you know, I, I hate to go back to it, but the constant bickering and nagging between Sam and Bucky, like I said, it's gotten old. It's gotten old. To me, it takes away from the episode. Okay, like I said, it was cute and Captain America Civil War, but you would think by now the two characters would be over it. I know, it's supposed to be an odd couple type of deal. It's supposed to be their shtick, but it's a shtick that's gotten old, in this reviewer's humble opinion. So, if I were to give this episode a rating, I'd only give it maybe 1.5 stars if I was going by a rating system. You know, even watching it the second time, I wasn't very interested, and I only watched it for a second time before, coming on for this review. And, you know, having references to, Wakanda, and having one of Black Panther's guards show up and Peggy Carter's granddaughter show up. Yeah, it was nice to see those characters. I'll admit that, but the series as a whole, it just isn't doing it for me. And I'll be honest, it's probably near the end of WandaVision where I had to admit to myself that I'm just not as invested in this universe as I once was. So, you know, as far as what I thought of this episode, it wasn't worth watching. It was slow. It just really didn't seem to go anywhere. Yeah, okay. Baron Zemo showed up, and you had a few other people show up. You know, big deal. Let's have you know more things going on, and another thing I'm going to touch up on, and I'm just going to say it. John Walker as Captain America, the new Captain America. the character doesn't do it for me. You know, maybe if it was Lamar, Lamar would probably be more interesting. But even then, he's just a sidekick, and he isn't really given much to do. It kind of seems like a waste to even have the character there. But this new Captain America, John Walker, nah, I don't care for him. Don't care for him, just like I don't care for this series. Even though I am gonna go back and watch, the remaining episodes after this episode, and you know, give you my overall last impressions of the series, because that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a last impression. But overall, if you like this episode, great. If you like this series, great. We all have something that we like. We all have something that we dislike. But if you are like me and you feel like you're just burned out on the MCU, then I'd say skip this series until it reaches the end at least. Then you can at least binge watch every episode and have an overall impression of what went on. But as far as giving you another episode review next week, it's not going to happen. I do have something else in mind that I'm going to do an episode review of, but I will let you all know that next Friday. As far as what time next Friday, I'm not sure. I have a few things I have to do next Friday, so we'll see. But I'll keep you all posted. But, as far as this episode, wasn't worth watching. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode review, spoiler review. I know it wasn't much, but, this episode wasn't much. And I will see you all tomorrow after the Cubs Pirates game for episode number 154 of the box score. Until then, have yourselves a great Friday. And, we're going into Easter weekend, so have a great weekend. And I will see you all later. Take care.